The hardest moment in a marriage is when the seeds of doubt start to sprout. At first, these seeds are small, and you don't even feel their presence. But one day, when you least expect it, those seeds grow and envelop everything inside you. For me, this moment began when I started noticing small changes in Heidi's behavior. Initially, I thought it was due to sleepless nights or work stress. Maybe she had just distanced herself from me. But over time, I began to sense that something else was lying beneath it all. Before I dive into my story, if you don't want your life to be turned upside down like mine, subscribe to my channel to learn real lessons from the real stories we share every day, just like mine. Also, share your thoughts about the shocking truths I've experienced in the comments, and please show your support by liking my video. Now that you've subscribed, let's dive into my story. Heidi's cold behavior towards me over the last few months was impossible to ignore. She used to greet me with a warm smile when I got home from work, but now silence greeted me as I walked in the door. Most of the time, I was alone, and she was busy with what she called work. At first, this didn't bother me. After all, everyone needs their own personal space. But as time went on, Heidi started going out more frequently, staying out late, and constantly telling me she was spending time with friends. Still, I tried to trust her. But once doubt arises from a lie, no matter how much you try to trust, there's no going back. One night, she told me she had to leave for work early in the morning, and I noticed she spent a long time on her phone before going to bed. Normally, she wasn't so attached to her phone. When I woke up in the morning, Heidi was already gone, but something inside me kept nagging at me. It felt like something was being hidden in the house. That morning, I decided to do something I'd never done before. I started searching our home, my own home, in detail. I had to silence that unsettling feeling inside me. I felt like an idiot, but I had to learn the truth. Deep down, I knew that there was someone else in Heidi's life. That day, I called my boss, Albert Falmuth, and asked if I could take a day off. After explaining the situation, Albert made a joking comment, "Are you the one cheating on Heidi?" This question angered me, but also pushed me deeper into doubt. I had never mentioned anything about Heidi to him, yet he somehow seemed to know too much about our relationship. Something was being hidden, and I could feel it. Now, where should I begin? My eyes scanned every corner of the house, thinking there could be a secret hidden anywhere. My mind kept questioning Heidi's behavior. Why was she staying out so late so often? Why had her interest in me completely faded recently? To find the answers to these questions, I headed to the attic. There, I found something I never expected, a laptop and modem placed directly above our bedroom. The screen was dark, but when I touched the trackpad, an image of our bedroom appeared. My heart started racing. What did this mean? I opened several files and found hundreds of videos recorded in our bedroom. In that moment, I realized that Heidi wasn't just hiding something from me. She was living her entire life with someone else. In one of the videos, I saw Heidi wearing lingerie I had never seen before, and then my old friend Spencer walked into the room. In that moment, my world collapsed. My bed, my home, my world, and Spencer. Facing this truth was the hardest moment of my life. It wasn't just my body, but my soul that felt frozen. When I snapped out of it, I had accepted the inevitable. Heidi was betraying me. At that moment, I knew one thing. I had to uncover the truth. I moved into the guest room and searched everywhere. In the wardrobe, I found a hidden safe covered by a wooden panel, and inside was thousands of dollars. It wasn't just an affair anymore. I had stepped into a deep lie. Heidi wasn't just cheating on me with Spencer. There was money involved, secret deals, and maybe even much more. I closed the safe and put it back in place. Heidi's secrets weren't limited to infidelity. I had to find out the source of this money. I needed someone who understood computers and phones. My former assistant, Marie, and her skills came to mind. I had to call her and tell her everything. We arranged to meet that evening. Meanwhile, I found a note that had fallen next to Heidi's wardrobe. "My love, Merle. I'm going to help Meredith with the property sale in Charlotte. I'll be home tomorrow. I'll be late tonight, but I'll spend the whole day with you tomorrow. Signed, Heidi. This note said she was out of town, but everything I had seen with my own eyes proved it was a lie. Memories of the time spent in the bedroom kept swirling in my mind. Heidi had been lying to me constantly. I took out a piece of paper and made 2 lists titled Stay in the Marriage and Go to Hell. I could only find 2 reasons to stay, but there were 13 reasons to leave. As the images of Heidi's betrayal echoed in my mind, I started making plans to escape this entire relationship. Everything was clearer now. In the afternoon, I saw Heidi's car pulling up in front of the house. She slowed down, probably noticing my car, and then sped away. The person sitting next to her, it was Spencer again. Heidi had lied to me once more. She had told me she was in Charlotte with Meredith, but in reality, she was spending time with Spencer. Heidi lying to me again extinguished the last bit of hope inside me. After meeting with Marie, I told her everything I had in my mind. Her warmth and sincerity brought me some relief. When I returned home the next morning, Heidi wasn't there. This gave me an opportunity to finalize my plans quickly. I checked Heidi's safe again. Inside, there was still a stack of cash, but this time I wasn't just interested in the money. I was after other evidence too. The computer, the phone, and any digital records in the house could be a clue. My plan was clear now. I would take revenge for every moment of Heidi's betrayal and every lie she told me. Revenge. People think it's just a feeling at first, but it grows over time and turns into a monster that takes over your entire being. Accepting the betrayal was hard, but leaving it unpunished was impossible. My sense of justice had been triggered the moment I saw those damn videos. She had deceived me, ruined our marriage, and made a fool out of me. There had to be a price for this. My first step was to expose Heidi's secrets. I tampered with the laptop in the attic to find out how long that camera had been there and what it had recorded. Hundreds of video files, each with a date and time. For 5 years, Heidi had spent time with not just me, but dozens of different men in our bedroom. How had I been so blind for so long? It was easy to blame myself, but now wasn't the time for that. Now was the time to act. I had to take control of the situation. I started with Spencer. My old friend was now my enemy. One day, I called Spencer. "There's a problem. Your safe is missing. You need to come immediately," I told him. I lied to gain his trust. He felt safe because he still thought he could manipulate me. But that day would be Spencer's last. I picked him up in my car and drove to a remote location outside the city. He still didn't understand what was happening. When we got out of the car, I told him everything. At that moment, fear appeared in his eyes. He was so arrogant that he always thought he was the one who won, but this time he was wrong. I pulled out my gun and aimed it at him. Spencer looked into my eyes, trying to say something, but the words got stuck in his throat. The gun went off. After a moment of silence, he collapsed to the ground. The last drop of anger I had been holding in for so long had run dry. As Spencer's lifeless body lay before me, the only thing I felt was relief. I had gotten my revenge, but the revenge wasn't over. Heidi's turn would come too. When I returned home, my attitude toward her had completely changed. I forced her to sign the divorce papers and sell our house. The woman who had betrayed me needed to be out of my life as soon as possible. Before I sent her away from the house, I looked her in the eye and said, "I can't get back the 16 years I spent with you, but at least I can have peace in the rest of my life." Heidi's response was just a shrug. For her, this relationship had ended long ago. On my last night in that house, I erased all my traces. I left her a handwritten letter. In it, I explained how our 16 years of marriage had been built on a lie, that I would never come back to her, and that she would never find me again. I left the money in the safe for her, but I took the gold medal that belonged to me and left. I got into my car and drove to Maria's house. Maria was the only person who had stood by me through this whole ordeal. My love for her was stronger than my hatred for Heidi. For the first time in my life, I felt like I could truly trust someone. I found peace with her, and we made plans for the future. After a while, the story of Heidi and me was completely over. The divorce was finalized quickly, and I started a new life. I heard that Heidi had left the city, but I never wondered where she went. The years I spent with her were a dark stain on my life. But now I had a brand new page ahead of me. Spencer's disappearance became the talk of the town. No one knew exactly what had happened, but the police investigation turned up nothing. As for me, I never showed any sign that I was involved. That event remained a deeply buried secret within me.